listening to the Agent Survival Guide podcast, a podcast for today's insurance agents. Informing, educating, empowering, improving the way you do business in an industry that's anything but static. In today's episode, there's no need to get spooked by the stress and anxiety that comes along with fear of rejection. We all feel it, and we've got tips on how to cope in 7 ways to overcome fear of rejection, written by Sarah Ruppel. It's that time of year when we are bombarded with all things spooky. It is definitely not my time of the year. I am not a fan of being scared. I don't like horror movies, and it probably has a lot to do with my general dislike of feeling anxious. Some people live for that feeling. I am not one of them, but that doesn't mean I don't have to deal with fear. Au contraire, I have it. We all have it. And the spooky season got me thinking about fear and what it has the potential to do. It is a sneaky beast that can edge its way into our brains, affecting the way we present ourselves to others if we're not careful. And for insurance agents, that can include how we present ourselves to our clients in the field, how we handle sales appointments, and what happens during those meetings. Do we have control over all of those things? No. And we might want control of those factors. That is human. But while we don't have control over every factor during an appointment, we do have control over ourselves, and that is what we're going to focus on here today. Fear is an emotion that everyone feels, so it's not realistic to think that we can get rid of it completely. But for the fear that holds us back from doing things we really want to do, we can think around it, work through it, and overcome it, especially when that fear is rooted in being afraid of rejection. So let's take a look at what we can do instead. First on our list, and we mentioned this a lot on the show, take the time to prepare. Do your homework. Start by reading through your notes on a client before meeting with them. If there's still a lead, make sure you have educational materials as well as plan details to share with them. Be prepared to answer their questions. And before you meet with them, run through your pitch a couple of times to fine-tune the wording and work your nerves out. Next thing we recommend, find the sweet spot of an outlined process mixed with client customization. I'm not talking about sticking to a script verbatim. Rather, use a checklist or outline to help you remember everything you need to cover. And then keep that list mostly the same for every appointment. Obviously, certain things about your clients will change from appointment to appointment. But this practice serves 2 functions: keeping your appointment compliant and helping you stay on track. For agents selling Medicare Advantage and Medicare Part D especially, there's a lot to cover during those sales appointments. With a checklist, you'll be able to work through what you want to cover and make sure the information is relegated in an order that makes sense. For example, when talking about Medicare, it's wise to explain Original Medicare first, then build on that foundation by explaining Medicare supplements, followed by Medicare Advantage. Here at Ritter, we actually have a compliant sales checklist for Medicare Advantage and PDP sales. We'll be linking to the PDF in our notes, but with that, you don't even have to do the work of creating your own checklist. You can simply concentrate on walking your client through the process. Now, a quick note on that PDF, it is located on our Ritter Docs site, so you will need a free RitterIM.com account and you will need to be logged in to view that checklist. Number 3, understand what you're selling. It's pretty tough to sell a product if you can't properly explain it, and people can and will pick up on that. This means learning the ins and outs of Original Medicare and how it pairs with a Medicare supplement. It means understanding how that coverage and cost structure differs from Medicare Advantage. For MA plans, it means knowing the local plans in your market and their provider networks. And don't forget about other forms of coverage, like special needs plans. How does Medicaid fit into the mix? Adding hospital indemnity or critical illness plans. Both your FMO and the carriers you represent hold trainings to explain their specific products in detail, as well as Medicare more broadly. Take advantage of those trainings to stay up to date and also hear how different people explain the product during a presentation setting. Number 4, this one goes hand in hand with product knowledge. Make sure you're seeking out knowledge when you don't understand. There are a lot of resources for insurance agents selling Medicare. Here on the podcast, we talk about products, sales strategies, new technology, pending legislation, industry research, and so much more. We say in our open that the industry is anything but static, and it's so true. The rules governing our industry are constantly changing, as are some of the plans and products. That is not something that's going to change anytime soon. Now, if you're not sure where to go to stay up to date, listening to this podcast is already a great first step, but there is more. Our podcast is powered by Ritter Insurance Marketing, a national field marketing organization. The team here at Ritter publishes a blog, ebooks, guides, online training, webinars, events, and so much more, all with agents in mind. We will be linking to those resources in our notes, but if you've got a particular question, you can always ask the ASG, and we would be happy to get you that answer. More on that in a little bit. Next tip on the list. Just because you're an agent doesn't mean that your focus has to be on making sales. Now, don't get me wrong, that is important to your survival, but instead of going into an appointment with the mindset to make a sale, instead build the relationship. I don't know about you, but if I think about an appointment in the sense of building a relationship, that's a lot more friendly and less anxiety-inducing when I'm not basing the entire interaction around making money. Have a conversation. Get to know your clients. Learn things about them. Build rapport. In addition to taking the pressure and anxiety out of the situation, it's also how you position yourself as your client's trusted advisor. Be human. Your clients will appreciate it. Moving on to number 6, believe in yourself. I could recite a few inspirational quotes here from a wide variety of public figures. But this is just one of those truths in life. If you don't believe in yourself, who will? Know your own worth and project confidence, even if you don't feel it, because some days you won't. Everybody has those days. A lot of people call this strategy faking it until you make it, which is both an unfortunate and misleading name for the strategy. It's not about pretending to be a different person. Believing in yourself is about showing up, having presence, allowing yourself to take up space in a room or conversation. Remember, when you sit down with your clients, you're the expert. It's okay to act like one. And then last but not least on our list here, number 7, we can't talk about fears, stress, anxiety, or anything related to mental health without mentioning take a break. Step back,
take a breath, take a break. Use that time to give yourself a little perspective. It's hard to work efficiently if your tank is empty. And if you've got others that rely on you, you can't pour anything into them if you have limited energy to give. Now, we did mention resources throughout this episode, and we have listed them in the episode notes, plus added a few more in there that we hope you'll find helpful. If you still have questions, please reach out using the links in the notes. You can ask the ASG any question that you may have. To take advantage of that particular resource, visit the notes and either fill out the form, email us, or call in with your question. And then we will reach out and make sure you get your answer. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen today. We will see you next episode. The Agent Survival Guide podcast is a production of Ritter Insurance Marketing, an integrity company. This episode was written and produced by me, Sarah Ruppel. Script adaptation by Tina Lamoureux. Podcast design by Urban Rivera. Artwork by Vivian Zhao. Follow along with us wherever you like to listen. Rate and review our show on Apple or Spotify.